Look around you on some of the streets of the biggest cities of India, and one thing is for certain: the luxury car market is booming. Now, if you have about 30 lakhs to spend on a car in India, you would usually get yourself a big bulky SUV like the Toyota Fortuner or the Ford Endeavour. But what if you were a little more traditional? What if a sedan was the only option for you? Well, so far, the Skoda Superb was the king of the hill in that segment, and now there is a new one. So, let's see how it fares. If sharpness was the only way to measure how good a car looked, the Skoda Superb would be a 10 on 10. I personally love the way the headlamps are set into the car rather than bulging out like what we usually see nowadays, combined with a very large and prominent front grille. Move on the back and the sharp lines and theme continues. Now, Skoda as a brand might not be very favorable with a lot of people, but we love how proportionate everything is, and that has always been a plus point of owning one. Now, this is the top of the line version and the wheels on this are quite nice, but if you buy a cheaper version, the wheels could have definitely been a slightly better design. The creases are very prominent both on the boot lid and on the bumper, and the LED tail lamps do make the Superb look quite nice, especially when they're lit up at night. Now, Skoda has never been about flamboyance, and the fact the Superb now gets ambient lighting is just as flashy as it will get. What you do get is a very well laid out cabin that feels very airy and spacious. And now, since most of the people who buy this car are actually going to use the rear seats, let's talk about those first. Now, in terms of overall space, the Skoda Superb pretty much outclasses everything else in its segment. There is a ton of legroom, and even though there's a coupe-ish rake to the roof, the Skoda Superb offers a lot of headroom as well. The only gripe that I have personally is the fact that the transmission tunnel could have been made slightly smaller, because the third passenger is just really difficult to put in here at the back. Now, this car being the top of the line L&K variant, you also get a lovely Canton audio system and high quality leather interiors. The front seats are electronically controlled, and you also get controls to move the passenger front seat a little more ahead to give you a lot more legroom in the back. Now, the Skoda Superb does have some positives and some negatives when it comes to gadgets. The screen, for example, just isn't as big as you would expect for a car of this price range, but luckily it does get Apple CarPlay, and that is especially important because the standard UI for this car isn't very impressive. As a trade-off, what you do get are these really comfortable front seats, and as a big boon for Indian customers, they have a cooling feature, which, if like today, temperatures outside are 40 degrees and above, can be a real blessing in disguise. You can either have a 1.8 litre petrol that makes 180 PS of peak power and 320 Newton meters of peak torque if you choose the 6-speed manual, or 250 Newton meters of peak torque if you choose the 7-speed automatic. The one we have here today is the more popular 2-litre diesel. In terms of figures, what you get is 177 PS of peak power and 350 Newton meters of peak torque, made it to a 6-speed automatic. And of course, the gearbox isn't just a normal unit, it's a double clutch DSG automatic, and you also get paddle shifts. Power delivery in general is very linear, and the car feels as quick as a train. Now, considering the fact that this car is quite large, it actually even goes like one. Now, as we mentioned earlier, most people who are actually going to buy this car are going to be sitting in the back. But if you're one of the few that's going to be driving it, it's a good thing, especially if you're going to be driving across long distances. For example, this would be a great car to hop in and drive straight to Delhi. Now, you would feel a slight uneasiness maybe taking it over triple-digit speeds over larger bumps, because it does unsettle a little bit, but load the car up with 4 passengers and a bit of luggage and it completely changes into a different animal. In fact, this is one of the best touring cars in the category that your money can buy. Now, for the first time, the Skoda Superb also gets 3 driving modes. What you get is Eco and Normal modes for your day-to-day commute around the city, and the Sport mode for when you're feeling a little more adventurous. So what are the major changes? Well, for starters, your gearing is different in terms of the way the car shifts its gears. Sport mode, of course, holds it a lot longer, lot sportier, and your steering feedback improves. But beware, in sport, the car does get a little difficult to drive in start-stop traffic. So the Superb is an easy car to sum up. It might be a little more expensive than the one it replaces, but the way it looks, the amount of space it offers, and the kind of tech it offers, it has pretty much reset the bar in its segment. Would we recommend one? Absolutely.